Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. I'm Nigel Mbaye, an application engineer here at KETIV Technologies, and today I'm joined by Brian Mongkolpoonsuk, part of our fusion team here at KETIV. So good morning, Brian. How's it going?
Morning, good.
You're a lot taller than me in that chair, aren't you?
It's been that.
Hello to those who have joined us for our fifth Fusion Friday. I cannot speak this morning. Hopefully we've all had a good short week this week. Hopefully we all enjoyed the holiday, kept all of our fingers, didn't play too much with fireworks. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going over drawings in Fusion 360. Brian's going to explain both Fusion 360 as a tool and some of the drawing capabilities. For a lot of people I see on this webcast are people who are already using things like Inventor or SolidWorks to do their drawings. Some even using AutoCAD to do some of this documentation. So today we're going to go over how those things work in Fusion 360. It's not much different, but there are some small nuances that are just slightly differing in the workflows between all of those different forms of software. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pass it on to Brian here. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the questions panel at any time. And let's have a good session today.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, thank you, Nigel. I'd like to remind the viewers that Fusion has many capabilities. It's a multi-tool that consists of CAD, CAM, CAE, data management, and collaboration, all in one tool. So you can go from concept to fabrication all without having to leave the tool. And the benefits of that is that if you have a 3D model and you make some changes to it and you already had some toolpaths set up, those toolpaths in the CAM workspace will update, so you don't have to create new toolpaths. And if you guys have any questions at all regarding this presentation or Fusion 360, feel free to leave us a comment, and we'll address it at the end of the presentation.
Definitely. And before we move on here real quick, just want to let everyone know that a lot of people who I see are on the attendees list have things like product design. So we have product design collections. And with those, you do have access to Fusion 360, sometimes even Fusion 360 Ultimate. So it is already something you already have as part of your cloud allotment for many of you. If you have any questions on whether or not you actually have the tool already, let us know and we can figure that out for you.
So today's presentation is on drawings, but what exactly is a drawing? So a drawing is a 2D representation of either the blueprints for like a house or electrical wiring, or in this case, it's going to be a 2D representation of your 3D model. And drawings are the documentation portion of the design process. So right after you finish modeling, this is what you do. You go to create a drawing.
Yeah, pretty standard. It's been the medium in which people deliver some of these parts. Things like AutoCAD have been around for forever, and the process in which you create your drawings and give it to who whether that's manufacturing or even the customer, hasn't changed, and we don't foresee that changing for a long time.
Right. And people tend to overlook the importance of drawing because now that we have all these 3D modelers, we think we can just send them the 3D model file. But for example, what if you want to have someone from IKEA look at your drawing, like a customer? You can't send them a 3D model. They only get like the paper from the box and the packaging. So you need to make a good drawing of how that part is assembled. So the importance of drawing is it's the communication or the bridge between you and the customer, or you and the machinist. And between you and the machinist, you want to dimension your part really well and make sure that they build it the way you intended it to be. And for today's presentation, we're going to do 2 drawings, one of an assembly and then one of a part of that assembly. And a drawing usually consists of these bullet points here. You'll have a few views of the drawing, including like an exploded view. We'll do some basic dimensioning to see how big the drawing is, some balloons, title block, parts list, all the normal things you expect to see of a drawing, since most of you guys are familiar with drawings. So with that being said, let's get on to the demonstration portion. So here is a brake assembly that we'll be making a drawing of today. And there are 3 ways to make drawings in Fusion. One is if you go up here to File, and you go to New Drawing from Design. Or you can go down here to the top level Design component, and you can right-click and hit Create Drawing. And the third way is to go to your Data panel, and right-click on the model that you want to create a drawing on and hit New Drawing from Design. So I like to do it from the File way. I think that's the easiest way. And then I'll do from Design. And this panel pops up where you can check or uncheck to do it of the entire assembly. And you also have the option to hop between ASME or ISO or US or metric standards of creating a drawing. And you can choose the different sheet sizes. So we'll go ahead and leave it as sheet size B and hit OK. So now we're in the drawing workspace, and Fusion automatically scales the assembly that we have to the paper. So right now it's at a 1 to 10 scale, but I'm going to make it a 1 to 5 scales just so it's a little bit bigger for you guys to see. Okay, and I'm going to place it right there and hit OK. So now that we have one drawing or one viewpoint, we're going to create some more. So like we said in previous Fusion Fridays, Fusion has a left to right workflow. So if you look up here, we're going to go work from left to right as well. So we're going to go to the projected view and then project some views off of this, our initial view here, and hit enter. And notice how we're quickly running out of room. That's okay. We can go down here to sheet settings and go to sheet size, and we can choose a bigger sheet size. So you can do this while we're working. We can create a bigger sheet. So now I'm going to use this gray box tool here to move the drawings around. Okay, now that we have these drawings in, I want to, let's say that you want to see inside what's going on in this brake assembly there. We can do that by going to our next tool here. It's called Section View. I'll select the edges of this assembly, or on the just on the outside of the assembly, and now I can drag this section view down here. And then I'll hit OK. So now we have another view that sees through the part, or that it's like as if you're cutting it right down the middle. And you can see that these hash part means it's like a solid body. And okay, so we want to see what where the caliper is of this brake assembly, which is that red part, if you guys remember from earlier. But we can't really distinguish it from this view. To distinguish it, we can double click on this drawing, and we'll, instead of a visible edge appearance, we'll do a shaded appearance. And now you can see the different colors, and now you can see that the red part right there is the caliper and where it's located. And we'll go ahead and do the same by double clicking on this isometric view. So now you have a better visualization of it. Okay, so now let's call this out. Let's tell the reader that it is an isometric view. You can do that by going up here to text. And this is just like inserting a text box. So let's just put isometric view. And that's a little bit small right there, so I will increase the size of the font there. I'll just leave it like that. Okay. So now that we have these 5 views, we have one more view that I want to insert, and that will be the exploded view. Now to do that, you don't just go up here to the drawings, the view panel. You would want to go back to your model environment, and then you want to go to the animation environment. Now notice how when I leave my mouse idle, I mentioned this in the previous Fusion Friday, but when I leave my mouse idle, it shows me like what are a little like visualization of what the animation workspace is. This is just to help you like with the workflow. If you're like new to Fusion, it'll help you get through the learning processes of it. So I'll go ahead and hit animation. Now in the animation workspace, I already went ahead and manually exploded this, but normally you come in and you can go to transform and go to like, you can do an auto explode, a manual explode. Technically I did a transform component on this, but it's very similar to manual explode.
Yeah, so people who have been using things like Inventor, this workspace is very similar to the presentation workspace in Inventor 2017 and 2018. They changed a lot from 2016 and previous. So you do have that animation timeline at the bottom. You can apply tweaks to individual components or sets of components. You can even make videos and renders from here. But what we're doing is we're taking the exploded view from here, and we're going to send that view into the sheet that Brian was working on.
Right. So yeah, exactly. That's the next step I'm about to do. So once you have your assembly exploded, you want to go up here once again to File, New Drawing, and instead of from Design, we're going to choose from Animation. And instead of creating a new drawing, we're going to choose the untitled drawing that we were working on, as you can see on that tab there. And then instead of creating a new sheet, we'll put it on the same sheet that we were working on. And then hit OK. And now we have the exploded view coming into the sheet. But instead of a 1:4 scale, we want to keep it consistent, and we'll choose a 1:5 scale. I'll go ahead and make it shaded as well, and then hit OK. So now that we have our exploded view, let's create a parts list. So you guys must be familiar with the parts list, where you would have all the different parts of your assembly in here. It would show the quantities, like how many numbers of parts for that part, the material, etc. But Fusion automatically, the parts list, it automatically fills out itself. So you see all the stuff in the browser here is filled out in here as well. And if you see how it's overlapping here, we can use this blue arrow tool here. We can drag it up, and it'll move out of the way for you. Also, once we start to balloon this assembly, you can see how it's automatically numbered in the items list here. So if I balloon the rotor, you can see that number 9 here is the rotor. I'm just going to go ahead and do a few more balloons. Also, if you want to edit your description here in the parts list, you don't double click on the table. Rather, you would go back to the model environment. Give it 1 second here. And then, for example, if you want to edit the description of the rotor, we can go to right click and then properties. And then you can edit the description here.
Yep, and for Inventor users, the same thing as iProperties. You can just go in there and edit some of those fields to do whatever you need. And the description field is being pulled from this particular property here.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the drawing. And also, if you want to insert like an empty table, you can do that as well. If you go down to text and then go to table, and it'll insert an empty table with nothing inside it. All right. I think I have everything for the assembly drawing. Oh, let me edit the title block. So by double clicking on this title block, this window will pop up, which will allow you to insert an image, which I'll go ahead and do that. You can insert your company logo, and then by using this X distance tool here, I'll click on this arrow and to center it. I'll also fill out, let's put your name, Nigel. Who it's approved by, just a few drawing numbers, a revision number, and so forth. And then it'll automatically fill that out for you. And also, if you guys have your own title blocks that your boss or someone wants you to use, you can go down here to Sheet Settings, Title Block, and then you could insert your own custom title block.
Yeah, so it's just going to pull a twig when you go ahead and insert any of these title blocks. So if you have existing twigs from your title blocks from things like AutoCAD, you don't have to remake those. You can put them back in here using Fusion 360's insert title block tool, and you should be able to bring your title block from foreign programs into here as long as they're DWG format.
All right. Okay. When you say DWG, you mean DWG?
Yes.
All right. So now let's go to create a part drawing. So we'll go back to the model environment, and we'll choose, let me go to the model environment, and then we'll choose a part of this assembly. We'll choose this bracket right there, And we'll do the same method as we did for the assembly. We'll go to new drawing from design. And instead of the full assembly being checked, we'll uncheck that and select this component in particular. And then we'll leave everything else the same, except we want to put it in the same drawing, the untitled drawing, but instead of sheet 1, we'll create a new sheet.
Yeah, so this is something that's relatively new in Fusion 360 is the multi-sheet drawings. It's something that they implemented a couple of months ago.
Right.
Maybe somewhere around 6 months ago or so when they started doing this, and they completely like revamped the entire drawing environment in Fusion. So if you haven't seen some of these tools, it's possible that it's
on the roadmap.
Yeah, that it was on the roadmap at the time. It wasn't actually implemented the last time you tried. So in regards to the roadmap, Brian, they're really transparent with what they're working on and what they plan to release. It's not like things like Inventor or AutoCAD where they're releasing one giant release every year with like hundreds of new capabilities. The Fusion team is working a little bit differently, and every time there is a new update, they'll just push that out, regardless of if there's like 1 or 50. So I want to say 6 to 8 weeks or so, there's probably a new version of Fusion out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Things like sheet metal they've been working on. Things like this drawing environment they worked on for quite some time, and they've included some new simulation tools in there as well. So definitely something to check out every couple of weeks to see what's new in Fusion.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a specific tool that's not on Fusion yet, you can check out the roadmap and see where they are in that. And they usually knock those out every update. Yeah. Okay, so now I created a drawing of the bracket, or I'm about to once I hit OK here. So now, as you can see here, this is the multi-sheet thing that Nigel was talking about, where this was the assembly drawing that we were working on, and now we have a new sheet, but it's in the same drawing, untitled here. So I'll go ahead and place that in here, but instead of visible and hidden edges, I'm going to select visible edges, and then hit OK. And now I'm going to do the same thing as I did for the assembly. I'll project some views off of this part. Move it using the gray square in the middle there. And then for these two parts right here, I want to show that there's a circle going, or there's this hole going through them. So I'm going to double click on it and use the visible and hidden edges for these. So now you can see the holes. And to even further like specify that these are holes, I'll use the centerline tool, and I'll click on the two edges. Notice how when I leave my mouse alone again, it tells me what it wants me to do. Select second edge, and then I'll create the center line for me. So now the reader or the viewer knows that that's the center line, or that's a hole going through there. Okay, and I'll do the same for these holes as well, but instead of a center line, I'll use a center mark. Alrighty, and now let's go to dimensioning it and let's give some numbers. So what you can do is you can go down here to linear dimension and select the two edges or 2 points like that, or you can just click on the dimension tool. And if you select 2 points, it can either be a linear dimension, it could be a line dimension like this one right there. Here, I'll show you another linear dimension example, or it can even be a radial dimension. All in the same tool. Now you don't have to keep going down to, okay, I want to do radius tool, I want to do linear tool. You can just click on that. And what else? We can do a an angle dimension, just by selecting those two edges there. And the same thing goes for this dimension here, or for moving this number here. I can select this gray box tool and move that number out of the way of the drawing. And yeah, I think I have everything for dimensions that I wanted to go over. So now we'll show. So if you want to go even more in detail to into this drawing, and you want to show the machinist like, hey, I want this face here to be parallel with that face there, because you want this bracket to be able to fit like a screw or whatever that goes in between here. You can signify that by using a datum identifier, and by selecting that face there. Now I have datum A, and then I'll use a feature control frame. I'll use it in conjunction to this data may. And I want, so here's a lot of geometric symbols that you can choose from, but in this case, we want to choose a parallel sign because I want this face to be parallel with data may, which is that face. I want it to be 10,000ths of an inch, the tolerance for it, and then I want it to be parallel with datum A. And that's what this symbol signifies. Also, since it's not showing that these are inches right here, and the machinist might not know that, we can go down here to annotation settings and hit the display annotation units. And you can also, and you can see that the inches change. You can also mess around with the precisions as well over here. All right. So now we have everything we need to send this out. Or I could go more in detail into dimensioning, but I'll just be a little repetitive. So now that we have everything we need, we can go to output this as a PDF or these other file formats. But for today, we'll do PDF. And I'll open the PDF after it creates it. I'll save it. And now we have a PDF of both the assembly drawing and the part drawing. So that's it for the content of today's demonstration. So to recap, the drawings that Fusion does create include ASME or ISO standard. These to create the exploded view, you can go to the animation workspace and manually or automatically explode there. And lastly, you can insert your own custom title blocks by going to the sheet settings at the bottom. So we can open the floor up for questions and answers. So yeah, if you guys had any questions during the presentation.
Yeah, go ahead and type any in if you have any questions. We have a few that came through during the presentation. First and foremost, there's a couple of thank yous. So Brian, definitely thank yous. I guess some of these people definitely got a lot of help from this presentation.
Awesome.
In regards to the drawing environment. I know it's ever evolving is the word I like to use for Fusion 360. It is changing all the time. So some of these drawing things might not be there in 2 months and they'll be replaced by better things.
Yeah.
Or there will be even more options in regards to the drawing environment. So definitely keep an eye out for those. And as we see them, we'll definitely let everyone know that there are new capabilities in Fusion.
And because of the roadmap, you can see where exactly Fusion is headed. And if you have any ideas that you want to add to the Fusion 360 software itself, you can go to the idea station on their website and you can type in a suggestion for them.
Yeah, certainly. That is a thing for sure. So there's a couple of questions. The title block they were using, Brian.
Yeah.
Is that something that's included in the software, or is that something you built yourself?
The title block was included in the software. I did not build that title block myself. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the standard title block in Fusion 360. You can create your own. You can put your own stuff in there. As you saw, you could have just imported title block too. Definitely some cool stuff there. Let's see here. Bernie's asking, is this drawing available to practice on? Bernie, we'll do. So Fusion's really, really unique in the fact that you could just share stuff with people,
right?
As long as you have their email address. So what I'll do is I'll have Brian go ahead and add you to this particular project, and in Fusion, if you're using the same email that you used to register for this webcast, and that should let you be able to open this particular drawing and assembly up in Fusion 360 yourself. And surely you can practice on any of the assemblies Brian has in here. We'll definitely touch base with you after that. If anyone else wants to see that as well, let us know and we can add you to any of these data sets if you want to mess around yourself. Jack mentions he's had some success importing entire drawing templates using title block import functionality.
Great.
Yeah, I have too. So I've taken some of those templates from AutoCAD drawings and Inventor, and you can bring that stuff in. Fusion can read hundreds of file types. It's a lot. It can bring in a lot of stuff. So definitely, yeah. So if you want to bring in an entire drawing template, things like borders and things like that, yeah, surely. As long as you can bring it into DWG, it'll think of the whole thing as a title block, but actually it'll just be like a template, which is really cool. Let's see. Going through a couple more of these questions here. Are you going to do a full-blown webcast here on GD&T, things like tolerancing? So that's something we've been looking into, is doing a GD&T webcast, whether that's for Fusion Fridays or for Autodesk Virtual Academy, which I'm sure almost everyone on this is also subscribed to AVA. If you're not, let me know. But certainly we can look into doing GD&T. I know that's something that's really big. A lot of people want to be using that, as well as things like 3D annotation. We can take a look at that in Inventor too. So that's another thing. All right, question here. Brian, what is the next Fusion Friday?
Next, it's the first Friday of every month, guys. So the next one will be on sketching in Fusion 360.
Yeah, and that's going to be August, I'm looking at my calendar right now, August 4th. So 4 weeks from today is the next Fusion Friday. It's going to be going over some basic sketching techniques, how to use some of the more, how would I describe that?
It's like to set just the foundation, you know.
Certainly, as opposed to things like T-splines and stuff, because there are 2 ways to model in Fusion. So we're going to go with the more traditional way of modeling parametrically with these sketches, as opposed to things like more organic shapes generated with the T-splines.
In the sculpting environment as well as the modeling environment.
Okay. Exactly. So we're going to go pretty much in the modeling environment, so it's the sculpting environment. But if you do have any suggestions for future Fusion Fridays or things that you just want to see us create content for, let us know. We can certainly generate some of that if there is enough need for it.
Also, we plan to have a Fusion 360 meetup again here at KETIV, and it'll be on modeling, and it'll be August 15th at 6 p.m. in-house, and there'll be food and drinks provided. So yeah, once again, it'll be on modeling. So if you guys are interested in that.
Certainly. And so the tentative date right now is the 15th of August. If you want more information or want to be signed up if you're local, let us know. We might be able to live stream it. I have to look into logistics for that. That's something I've been looking into anyways. But certainly, we'll definitely get everyone more information if needed for that. Expect to see another email for this in the future in regards to the meetups itself. So with that, I think that's all for today. Definitely a short one, but hopefully everyone got some of the basic functionality in Fusion in regards to drawings. We'll be doing more basic webcasts like this. We'll also be supplementing them with more advanced features in Fusion. Things like the simulation tool in Fusion and CAM are probably 2 of the most, I think, robust features in Fusion. I think personally, CAM is the most far along feature in Fusion. Yeah. The program is still in its infancy, right? So it's only been out for a couple of years now, as opposed to things like SolidWorks and AutoCAD. AutoCAD's been around for 30+ years, so they've had a lot of time to change it up. But in terms of maturity of Fusion, I think it's definitely there. The CAM workspace specifically is great. I've seen a lot of people switch from things like Inventor Mastercam environment to straight Fusion 360 Ultimate. It's super awesome.
Yeah, they use it just for the CAM.
Yeah, and it's using the same HSM engine as Inventor does for HSM Ultimate, which is
HSM built in. Yeah.
Yep, it's really cool. So with that, I think that's it for questions today. If anyone has any further, let us know. Feel free to contact Brian or Alex. He's on vacation right now at any time. Or give us a call at the number below, and we'll be able to answer any questions you have on Fusion 360 or any other Autodesk products.
And if you want to look at this video again, you can find it we'll post it soon on YouTube.
Yep, so that's youtube.com/KETIV Technologies. And we'll see you next time. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.